And sustainability is such a big word, yeah. So nowadays it's very much concentrated really onto CO2 emissions and environmental aspects, yeah. But you have also the social aspects, yes, you have the governmental aspects. And yeah, we are looking into this for the last 30 years. We started already as early as 2008 to come up with a roadmap. At that time, with the IATA, we all decided to come down by 50% on CO2 in 2050. So I would say it's part of our DNA.
Welcome to Sustainability in the Air, the world's first podcast dedicated to sustainable aviation. I'm your host, Shashank Nigam, the CEO of Simply Flying. On this show, I speak with aviation leaders, innovators, and policymakers driving real action, separating the signal from the noise to spotlight what's truly moving the industry forward. The same focus that is at the heart of our new book, Sustainability in the Air, Volume 2. In it, Dirk Singer and I take stock of how far the industry has come and how far we still need to go. With the global carbon budget potentially running out by 2032, the clock is ticking. But the most promising solutions today aren't just environmentally sound, they are economically superior as well. From SAF and contrail mitigation to direct air capture, the book offers a practical roadmap for aviation's journey to net zero. Get your copy today. Link in the show notes. My guest today is Claudia Hugel, Senior Director and Head of ESG Rating and Reporting at Lufthansa Group. Claudia is a veteran of the airline and has a very good grip on all things sustainability. We discuss everything from Lufthansa's pioneering green fares to branding of fuel farms at Frankfurt Airport to Lufthansa Cargo's marketing efforts on the use of SAF. Claudia gives us deep insights into what goes on behind the scenes in leading sustainability at a large airline like Lufthansa. Enjoy this conversation. Claudia, it is great to be finally speaking with you. We want to learn all about Lufthansa's path-breaking journey into sustainability. And tell us, why is sustainability important for Lufthansa?
I mean, as we all know, aviation is a quite hard to abate industry, and it has not been important for us for the last 2 or 5 years. It always has been on our agenda, I would say, for the last 30 years. And sustainability is such a big word, yeah. So nowadays it's very much concentrated really onto CO2 emissions and environmental aspects, yeah. But you have also the social aspects, yes, you have the governmental aspects. And yeah, we are looking into this for the last 30 years, yeah. So we want to be a sustainable company, yeah. So that's the reason why it's very important. And of course, the pressure within the last years has come also with the hard to abate sector, with reducing CO2 emissions, yeah. So, but I think even within the industry, within IATA, we are quite well equipped. Yeah, we started already as early as 2008 to come up with a roadmap. At that time, with the IATA, we all decided to come down by 50% on CO2 in 2050. So yeah, I would say it's part of our DNA.
And Lufthansa has taken a number of path-breaking initiatives in sustainability. And your title, your role spans both reporting and rating, as well as the initiatives. How do these interact? Which one do you spend more time on? And is one a time drain, whereas the other one excites you? How does that work?
It excites me having interviews like this where we can really put out what we are all doing. Yeah. So this really excites me. Although it's early in the morning, nearly 40 degrees outside
Are
today.
we talking about climate change here?
Yeah. So it's coming up in Frankfurt. It's really coming up, being one of the hottest cities right now for a couple of days. Well, more than 10 days now. No, it really, I really enjoy talking about our initiatives. Yeah. So when I was asked like 9 years ago whether I would like to do the CSRD reporting, or at that time it was the CSR reporting, I wasn't quite sure because I come more from the strategic side, from the sales side. And when you then listen, okay, reporting, what is this? Yeah. And so I realized that it's reporting is just the end product. Yeah. So you really have to go into the strategy. You really have to see, okay, what is our strategy? Where are we? Where is our competitors, et cetera, et cetera. So it's quite I would say, a very strategic effort. Yeah. On the one hand, and then on the other hand, our major, I would say, stakeholder in this is the capital market. And this is also what is exciting to me because I do have a very intense interface with investor relations, with corporate finance, especially. So whatever we do within sustainability, it's very important for the capital market. And so these two sides, so either it's institutional investors, I have another call after this one. They want to know how we stand within sustainability, or the creditors. Yeah, if they lend us money, they need to know how we do about. And this is, I think, very, very exciting, and it combines the two into one. So I need to know what are the questions, yeah, of these kind of stakeholders. I need to know what are the prerequisites to do a CSRD reporting. I also need to know how rating agencies, like the ESG rating agencies, how they judge upon us. And I need to sort of mix everything together to come up with a readable report, yeah, which is looking after compliance because it's mandatory, which makes our investors happy, which makes our creditors happy, and also the broader
Right. Wow.
public.
It seems like a lot of work, but I want to zoom in on what you mentioned that you have to have the strategy first before you can report on it, before you can write about it, right? So, what is Lufthansa's strategy? You are one of the largest airlines in the world, one of the oldest airlines in the world. What is Lufthansa's strategy to get to net zero?
Yeah. So yes, right. We just celebrated 100 years of Lufthansa, and we would like to survive another 100 years. So yeah, that's very challenging. No, I mean, of course, it is our foremost goal to come down on the CO2 emissions. That's clear. That's I think the same target for all of the airlines. Yeah. Um,
It's
it is a
debatable
challenge.
because many airlines front with per seat mile CO2, which I think is a dubious metric to lead with. It can be part of the metrics, but you're right. It's about overall carbon emissions, not just per CO2 per mile CO2.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, it is that what is very visible. That is what everybody is talking about. When I now get the question is from the institutional investors, I think it's like 50% about CO2 reduction. Yeah. So of course, our strategy is to make this very transparent. Now we come out with our reports and say, okay, this is the amount of CO2 what we are emitting, and this is our strategy. As I said, already early as 2008, we were together with IATA setting out the goals. We as Lufthansa Group, we decided already in 2019, so just before COVID, that we want to halve our net CO2 in until 2030 on the basis of 2019. Then we were also looking into how we can prove this a little bit more. So we joined the Science Based Target Initiative. There was a lot of talks about it, and at that time, none of the European carriers did this. So we were looking into it. It was still full COVID. It was 2021. We were looking into it. We were trying to understand what is needed, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not a given, yeah. So you get a lot of Excel sheets. You had to look into a lot of things, yeah. And so we got validated in August 22. And this was very important for us because we had a scientifically proven target, put it this way, to come down with our CO2 intensity by 30.6 percentage points. So, which means in comparison to 2019, yeah. And how do we do this? Yeah. Even sometimes it sounds boring because the
This
levels
is
to come
important.
down
Important stuff can
has
be
not
often
changed.
boring. Yeah.
Yeah. To be very honest, within this decade, it is still the fleet renewal, which has the biggest impact. I mean, that is for sure. Because if we renew an older aircraft with one of the most modern technology, you have in fuel efficiency improvement between 15 to 25%. It depends. And this is then as well the same for the CO2 reduction. Yeah. So this is very clear. So this year we hope to get and we had already some aircraft to have about 45 aircraft coming in. We have more than 230 aircraft on order books. Yeah. So this is a very, very important lever for us, and I cannot stress it enough. Yeah. But then, of course, the second lever, I mean, we all know, is the sustainable aviation fuels. We were also quite pioneering in this one. So we look into this since 2010. So the first flights on a commercial aircraft were on us at that time. Yeah. So we know the technologies, we looked into it. Yeah. So this also plays a major part. But one thing which is very close to my heart is fuel efficiency. Yeah. Because if you look into fleet, if you look into SAF, at the end of the day, we are a little dependent on it because we do not produce. So we do not produce aircraft our own. We do not produce SAF on our own, but we can work on fuel efficiency. And I think sometimes this is a little bit forgotten, especially right now when fuel prices are very, very high. So fuel efficiency also has been always part of our DNA, as I said in the beginning, yeah, because every drop fuel you save also CO2. And when it comes to fuel efficiency, so we do have a sustainability operational program, yeah, and so we always have between 80 to 100 projects, yeah, where, for example, we train the pilots to have green procedures, yeah. We even our AeroShark, you might have known about this foil, which we can put on the aircraft, which reduces I always forgot this English word, the drag. I think it's drag. Yeah.
Yeah, the drag
So
because of the friction.
yes, it
Yes.
comes up to 1 to even 2% of fuel efficiency. So this is something we can do much more on our own. And
And you
one
can do
thing
it
which
today.
we can do today. That's it.
Mhm.
And we can also do it together with our staff, with the crew. Yeah. And they also want to contribute. Yeah. And especially right now when fuel is so expensive. Yeah. Um, I think even sometimes the pilots, they are very proud. Yeah. Because they see exactly how much fuel they use at the end of the day. So you can engage everyone. Yeah. And every little drop helps. Yeah. And not to mention, I mean, also a little bit boring, but the single European sky, I mean, we would
Mhm.
laugh
It's important
to get these 10%, even if you get only half of it. Yeah.
sooner than
So,
later,
yeah. And so this is
right?
really where we engage very much. Yeah. Also with our associations. Yeah. We look what we can do. And I think this is because you were asking about our strategy, our
Mhm.
sustainability. It's very much focused, of course, on the environmental issues, but it's not only CO2. Yeah. If you look into the flights, I mean, we look into reducing plastics. Yeah. We try to recycle whatever is on board because this is also very obvious for our customers. Yeah. So, yeah, I would say we work on all sides and all initiatives.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's my task to bring everything together, sometimes to motivate also different parts, and then to report in a compliant, mandatory way on it. And if we think there's something more, we put it into our fact sheet. Yeah.
Right.
And then
Right.
I
Okay.
try to bring it to the capital market.
I want to double click on something you just said, which is measures that are visible to the customers. And I think Lufthansa has done this better than most other large airlines with the launch of your green fares. Now, in today's day and age, it's debatable, according to certain people, whether they should be called green fares at all. But you were pioneering in launching green fares. I think it's been over 3 years since they've launched. I'm very curious about the story behind why they were launched and how has it gone since then.
Yeah. Yes, we are proud of this. And we're also proud of pioneering things and trying things out. Yeah. So the idea to have a green, sustainable, or whatever fare has been there, I must say, even before COVID. Yeah. So, and as you might know, the fare structure of an airline is not so easy. So also you have to convince a lot of people to have these kind of fare. That's where everything starts. Yeah. Then you have to think, okay, what should this fare incorporate? Yeah. And and we wanted really to have SAF inside. Yeah. So that we also integrate our customers. Yeah. Because they had a wish to have a green product. Yeah. But then, as you said, it's not just done like this. So there's a lot of research before. It's a lot of collaboration work also within the company, because you need to talk to pricing, you need to talk to revenue management, yeah, whether it's feasible. And then you need to see, okay, how can you integrate SAF? Because, it's very limited available. Yeah. How can you make this? And if you take like 50% or even 100% SAF of an individual flight, it will be too expensive. Yeah. So what did we do? We were looking into the Nordic countries because they're quite ahead when it comes to sustainability. So we had a trial on a green fare, and that trial was on continental routes. And we put like the equivalence of 20% of sustainable aviation fuel and 80% of climate projects.
And this
And
was on, I believe it was a flight to Sweden, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, it was, well, we launched it in the Nordic countries. Yeah. And so the uptake was quite surprisingly good. Yeah. And then
Really? Even from the beginning, because I know it's grown, but I thought it was, a very, very small number to start with.
it was small numbers. It was small numbers. But at least there was an appetite for our customers to take it. And it was which is also important, it was a B2C, yeah. So it was for
Mm.
each customer, so they could see it. Yeah. And we talked also, of course, with our corporate clients, whether they would like to have this. But we already had also bulk deals for our corporate customers. So this is a different story. So the green fares as such, as you know them on the website, this is really for mainly for B2C, but we have other green products also in the background. Yeah.
Right. Are you able to share any numbers, Claudia, on what the adoption rate was at the beginning and what it is today?
Yeah, well, at the beginning, I mean, it was around like 1%, yeah, even below 1%, yeah. And so last year, and this also we published, so I can talk about, we had like 5% of products which are sort of green, yeah, which has a green surrounding. And even from 24 to 25, we came from 4% to 5%, yeah, which is already good. Also, sometimes economy is not so strong. And then, of course, first things which I get canceled are sometimes also business trips, yeah. No, it is very successful, to be very honest. And as you said, rightfully, yeah, it took us 3 years to come to these 5%, yeah. Um, and then also we rolled it out not only for continental routes, but also for intercontinental ones. But there the SAF percentage is a little bit lower, it's 10%. But it's very important also to explain this to the customer. Yeah. So if you go on the website, you see exactly that it's like 20% of SAF, 80% climate project, that the SAF will be flown within the next 6 months. So it's not on your direct flight. I mean, we all in the aviation business, we all know how it works, but the normal customer doesn't know. And also for the climate protection projects, yeah. So they have all the information they need, which is very important not to come into the greenwashing debate. Yeah.
And let's talk about that. The greenwashing debate. You have green fares, whereas we were recently working with an airline. I had the chief sustainability officer on the podcast, and they said our logo cannot be placed on a green background, which is what Simple Flying's branding is. And we had to do the entire graphic of announcing the podcast in their brand colors. And I said, is it just green because it's a competitor's color? He says, no, we just don't use green at all. No green word, no green brand anywhere. And here Lufthansa is, becoming very successful and continuing to do this. How do you manage expectations and, defend yourself against greenwashing claims from activists who say, oh, flying can never be green?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very difficult discussion, but at the end of the day, you need to have a tangible product. Yeah. So it's very complicated to explain, like in 5 sentences, what you do. So, of course, we had all these discussions, and so, but we somehow withstand also these discussions because we think it is important to bring the right message to our customers. Yeah. So this is what we do. So we explain exactly, yeah, how this green fare is composed. And so far we are okay with this. Yeah. There might be another decision, I think, next year, 27, like in September 27. So we are in continuous discussion, but so far we are allowed to do it. Other than that, we wouldn't do it. And I think sometimes you have to be also robust. Yeah. I mean, we are an easy target. So we do get anyhow hit all the time when it comes to environmental discussions. And if you say, okay, we come now out with a more sustainable product. Yeah. So, and I think you have to be also clear on that one. And I think it's no greenwashing at all. Yeah? Because we do not say that with this green fare, you neutralize the whole flight. I think this is very important. And I must say also that probably most companies who try to work with green labels or with some expressions upon it, most of them probably do not do this out of a bad idea. Yeah. It is also quite new. So we need also to adjust. Yeah. And I think the public should be also a little bit more friendly. Yeah. So we try to do something good, which our customers wants to have. Yeah. So it needs to be also somehow tangible.
Right. So let's talk
Yeah.
about the public. I think one thing. So I've used the green fare myself. I have booked a few Lufthansa flights with the green fare, and what I appreciate about it is how transparent you are in the booking flow. You're clearly saying there, "Hey, listen, we're not putting SAF in the wing on your plane," and it's right there. You're talking about this 20% SAF. It's 80% offsets. Tell me, how do you balance transparency versus just getting the passenger to go away, that look to book ratio when you look at digital products, right? That has been a big thing. But you do a pretty good job at transparency. What do you reveal and how do you choose when to reveal it?
The interesting thing is, which you might not know, that you were able within Lufthansa Group to compensate already, I think, since 2008, something like this. So which means a lot of people didn't find it. Yeah. So this was our more or less starting point. So we had a cooperation with My Climate nearly now 20 years ago. So they even established an office in Germany. So we were all the time within this climate projects. Yeah. But it was always you booked your flight. Yeah. And then you could choose for climate projects. Yeah. But the rate was very, very little. It was always 0 point something. And we tried a lot of things, communication or whatsoever. So, and with this experience, so even this experience is even longer, we realized that we have to make it really in front of the customer. So he or she, they really need to see that there is a fare. So this, I think, is one of our success stories. And then also with the consumer protection, they ask us really to be very clear, yeah, that it's not on that flight immediately, et cetera, et cetera. So this brought us to say, okay, 20%, not directly on that flight within the next 6 months, yeah. And then also the explanation of the climate project. And now you see it. I mean, I usually do not book Lufthansa flights on a website, but I try it out also, yeah. And I think it's quite clear, yeah. You have the different choices, yeah. And then you decide upon. And also, it was very important to us when we negotiate with pricing and revenue management that it's not the highest fare. That was, I think, also one thing. And of course, in the beginning, we also had some incentives. But I think that this is okay because to keep the thing rolling, you need sometimes also to incentivize. And I think that's perfectly.
Yeah. I hear you. Green fares, it's doing well. In general, I appreciate the transparency from Lufthansa. One really good incident I remember is I was in transit and I had to take the bus because we were at the remote stand. I was transiting to Canada, going back home to Vancouver. And as the bus started rolling, I saw these huge fuel tanks
Yeah.
which said SAF inside. And
Yeah.
it said, hey, we are going from used cooking oil to SAF, and there's SAF inside this. And I thought, wow, this is such a brilliant branding exercise where you're educating not just Lufthansa passengers, but any passengers at the airport. These are huge fuel tanks. Many airports have them, but they're all plain gray. Nobody uses this as a branding opportunity. And here you have. And I wonder if you have any insights on that. And if you get any feedback from people, hey, I saw that tank.
Yes, I mean, like you, giving us the feedback, and also thank you very much because you mention us quite often also on stage. Yeah, We do the same also with Lufthansa Cargo. Now we talk all the time about passenger airlines, but we are such a big group, with 10 airlines, and also passenger. Besides the passenger, also cargo is very important, and they have it also all over. I was just recently at their grounds, and also our cargo customers, they are very much interested. So we also do big bulk deals there, and they also promote it. They have it also on their aircraft. Yes, and as I said, I think you have to talk about, but still we need to be very careful not to do greenwashing, or to be accused of doing greenwashing. But I think communication, and what do I need to talk to you? Communication is very important, and especially when it comes to sustainable aviation fuels, it's very complicated. Although it's a drop in fuel and you think it's very easy, but at the end of the day, because the amount is still so little, and how can we work together and integrate everyone? So yes, and even you might have realized, and it's not only during the booking. So now we try to integrate a choice for either climate projects or stuff throughout the whole experience of our customers, and really to educate a little bit. And what was also very important for us, we didn't want to make it mandatory, because there's ReFuelEU, there's anyhow mandatory stuff now, and we want our customer to decide for, so they can decide. And it's the same if you go to a hotel. And at the bottom, very often you find, are you prepared to pay €2 extra, whatever, for CO2? And usually click yes, because €2 or €5 or whatever doesn't make a change. But you have a choice, and I think you need to
Right.
have a choice.
Give the choice. No, I love how and I remember seeing the cargo campaign as well. If you add SAF, it really doesn't change the price of the product by that much. And I thought that was, if I'm not wrong, the first ever airline cargo campaign I saw on SAF specifically. And I think it all goes to show the practice itself, right? Lufthansa Group's SAF consumption, sustainable aviation fuel, has rose from about 20,000 to about 140,000 metric tons between 2024 and 2025. This is from your report. And are you able to account for what drove this acceleration in the past years?
Well, of course, the truth is also in 25, we had the first year the ReFuelEU mandate.
Yes, the mandate's coming.
So of course, there's 2%, and I think even within Europe, it has been fulfilled in molecules. At least for us, it has been fulfilled in molecules. That's what we know. So this is part of it. And we were just now talking about like the green faster product, but also, as I said, cargo is also important. And we do have really corporate customers who are asking for bulk deals. So what we do, we know how much they travel, we know exactly their routes, we know exactly the CO2 emissions for the customers. So, and we offer then also bulk deals. So we are quite active. And coming back, because you were asking about our strategy, and it was always, or it has been always, and it still is, we would love and like to integrate the customer from the very beginning, because it is also not a secret that sustainable aviation fuels is much more expensive than fossil fuel. And I think also in that respect, you have to bring this to the customer. And so we always wanted to integrate the customer. And I think this is also part of the success. So different airlines, different strategies, and this has been very much our strategy. And we are working hard on it. We have within our global sales, and I was within sales, they have targets. The airlines get targets. So, and we support them. So
hold on, these are sales targets or these SAF targets?
Both.
Okay,
I
good to
cannot
know.
reveal them. But
okay. But there are targets to hit.
Yeah. So, and they get educated and trained by us, for a long time. What is SAF, how it works, when they talk to the customers. Sometimes we, from corporate responsibility, go with them. Through my network, I interchange with all the sustainability managers, So I do my sales pitch, although I'm not sales, So I ask all the DAX companies in Germany, So those whom I know are quite profitable or whatever. And so we use also the sustainability managers to come to the travel departments. Yeah. So that's what's happening in the background. And as it is new and it is quite expensive, yeah, it needs to be explained. And so this is what we train. Last week, we had a so-called strategic performance dialogue, and it was also the head of sales for all the airlines there. And so we exchanged there. We talk about stuff and everything. So we get everyone acquainted with it. So it's not separate departments. So we all work together. Yeah.
Wow, this is quite amazing. One question about the team then. Is sustainability a separate department within Lufthansa, or is this the horizontal where all the different teams will have one point person for sustainability?
Interesting, because we are a little bit in the change right now. So it has become a department in 2020, just before COVID hit. Yeah. So called corporate responsibility. Yeah. It was very tiny. Then we grew over the years and we changed a little bit, but we are within Grazia Vittadini's resource. So the CTO. Interesting. Because also sustainability was very important for her in her previous roles. And we are very close to fleet management. Yeah. And as I said in the beginning, so now everything comes together. Fleet is very important for us. So we talk also very much with fleet. So, but we are a central department, we are a corporate department. And within the airlines, you have also sort of like sustainability departments, yeah, not big ones, yeah. So we work together, and there are some things which are of course central. I mean, like the SAF procurement or fuel procurement or fleet procurement, that's all central. Also the climate projects, yeah. So this is everything aligned within our department, and also of course when it comes to reporting. But we have a very constant exchange, at least once a month. We have all the sustainability community together. And even I, like within reporting, I have my own calls. Yeah. So we interact with the entire group. So just an anecdote. I mean, to do my report, the 143 pages,
Yes.
there are probably more than 150 heads involved all over the group. So at the end, I mean, we have more than 300 entities. And I report about 66. I don't go into detail, but sustainability is really a big effort. And I think this sometimes is not seen, but you're right. At the end of the day, it's like strategy. It's horizontal, but you still need to develop things. And then I think whenever you need to develop things, it's better to have it really central. And I think the SAF fuel procurement will always be central. Yeah. So reporting will always be central. Yeah. But the initiatives we're talking about, the like 80 to 100 initiatives, they are then locally in the airlines. And the airlines, they have also their specific goals or targets.
Good to know. It's really good to understand the inner workings, right? If you look under the hood, there's so many details just from your report, for example, that you've shared. Going back to the SAF uptick, usage uptick question, when I'm on stage, sometimes with you too, we often debate, there'll be someone from the US who'll be saying, incentives are better. There'll be someone from the EU talking about mandates. But it seems, given the growth in SAF consumption in the past years amongst Lufthansa and other European airlines, it seems clearly that mandates are very good in increasing adoption of the use of SAF. Do you believe that mandates work better? And is ReFuelEU done right now?
That's now a very difficult political question, or to answer politically correct, working for Lufthansa Group. So I think we discussed it also before. The thing is, for the offtake within EU, yes, it somehow has worked. Yeah, so the 2% has been fulfilled. But it is also the truth that a big portion of the production has not taken place within the EU. Yeah, so the fuel suppliers, they had to import a lot from the US and from China, probably. Yeah, and maybe other. So it's if you really look at the production, I think it works better with incentives than with mandates. because other than that, we would have had more production in Europe. But I think there's probably a lot of other issues in Europe. Yeah. So I don't want to go too much into detail, but it seems what
That's
I
fine.
hear,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very complicated for the feedstock, what is allowed, yeah, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a big complexity, which I think some producers getting a little bit shy, yeah, or they shy away from it, yeah. And it's a little bit more easier in the US, in Asia, in China in particular, probably in Brazil, et cetera, yeah. So I think, or listening to all these conferences, there is still the need for de-risking the high production cost, yeah. So, and as far as I know, still, if you even look into e-fuels, yeah, even all these demonstration plants, none of them has gotten FID so far, yeah. So there
Right.
must be something behind, yeah. And also then I think there's a little bit the fear, okay, into which technology do I invest, yeah? Do I invest into e-fuels? Do I invest into biogen fuels? Which one then they are eligible? So it makes it a bit complicated within the EU. And I think what I can say, I think all airlines want to have sustainable aviation fuels. That's for sure. Yeah. But we still probably think that the government should engage, or the government should engage more, or the EU. And on our last panel, it was voiced, not from my side, but we give so much money via EU ETS for so many years, since 2012, I think. They now think to rework it. So where is all that money gone? Has it been used to produce more sustainable aviation fuels?
Yeah.
So all we want is that what we pay also goes into building up this infrastructure. That would be nice.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And we will include the link in the show notes here. This was Orania from Airlines for Europe, who literally said ETS has become an ATM. And she's not wrong, because countries like Singapore are instituting a passenger levy, which will be cordoned off for not just aviation, just for buying SAF. And most European governments, including the UK, does not actually do that. You mentioned ETS. There's also the APD in the UK, which, if it was just directed towards sustainable aviation, would actually take care of all the SAF needs of airlines flying in and out of the UK. But it's not done yet. This is being
Exactly.
collected, and the money is not being used for aviation. So I think that is definitely an area that needs work, and definitely some joint thinking there.
Yes.
Let's look forward, Claudia. If you look forward to 2030 target, where I believe Lufthansa's target is to halve net CO emissions against 2019 levels, yet there is growth coming within the airline, right? How do you balance this growth versus the actual target of halving net CO2 emissions? Is there, where are the gaps here?
Mm. Yes, as I said, until 2030, we are quite optimistic to get now our aircraft. And as we were so delayed, so there will be hopefully at the end towards 2030, quite a push. So, this still is our major lever, yeah. And of course, looking also into the studies, and I looked also into the Sky Energy and ICF study on SAF 2026. Yeah, so everyone is sort of also optimistic that there will be the volumes at least fulfilling the ReFuelEU and the demand and everything. So of course, we do have the hope that also prices for SAF go down, and then also that we can encourage also a lot more customers to go into SAF. So this is sort of a hope. And as I mentioned again, we work very much on fuel efficiency. And also our Aeroshark still is quite promising, because we try to get now the foil on more or less the entire aircraft, which also helps. So the targets are still ambitious, to be very honest. But I think you have to have ambitious targets, yeah,
to get there.
approach it. Yeah.
Right.
So that's our take on it.
Fair enough. Still continue to look beyond 2030. If you look into the future, if you had one wish, Claudia, that could be granted, what would it be that would truly allow you to meet or exceed your ambitions for 2050 for sustainability?
First of all, that all aircrafts are delivered on time.
Love
that would
it.
be already.
Because, you immediately reduce the carbon intensity there.
Yes, we immediately reduce it, and it takes away insecurity, because if you never know. So, but it's not a bash to the OEMs or whatsoever. Yeah, but I mean, you were asking me. I mean, that would be nice, yeah, to have the aircraft when they are planned, because it helps a lot in the background also. And as I said, as SAF is such a easy drop in fuel, it really would be amazing. I mean, this would change forever, because all the aircraft we are getting right now, they fly for the next 20, 25, maybe sometimes 30 years. Yeah. So for these aircraft, and especially for intercontinental aircraft, we need SAF. Yeah. And if I had a wish, yeah, we could exchange immediately fossil fuel by SAF. Yeah. So to round it up, SAF is really important, but it needs to be also, the costs need to go down. Yeah. So, and probably it is within Europe, it is the governments that really have to look into it. And maybe the crisis right now has set also a little bit of a different tone, maybe also becoming a little bit more independent to have energy sovereignty. And you can produce stuff more or less in each and every country. Yeah. Depending on the energy prices. Yeah. Maybe Germany is not the best country to do it, or depending on the energy, on the sun. I mean, right now,
Yeah, let's go
we
to
have more
Chile, or
than that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think SAF is a really good alternative. Yeah. And also thinking about our aircraft. Yeah. And probably also in my life, I doubt that I will see an aircraft going over the Atlantic on electric or hydrogen or whatever. So this is needed for decades to come. And therefore, the importance of SAF, I think, is still very, very high. But I'm also
Right.
not an engineer. Yeah.
Right. No, fair enough. I think that is definitely an area. I was just speaking to Jivo, who Simplifying works quite closely with. And I was just asking, how much does it cost to get a alcohol to jet plant, in the US? And he was saying, it's about 300 to $400 million. And I said, that's interesting, because that's the cost of 3 777s. So
Mm-hmm.
airlines order planes, and we are used to these large numbers. Hey, what is the equivalent of a SAF plant, and can EU ETS fund it? It's just the cost of 3 777s, right? So I think we have to reframe the issue here as an industry. And I think, once again, Lufthansa is doing a great job at taking pioneering initiatives like Lufthansa Green Fares, also communicating this from Lufthansa Cargo to the tanks, which I quite like and I've spoken about, and even your work in ESG and reporting, making the report as understandable and accessible as possible is very, very important. Claudia, for the final part of this interview, I'm sure you've heard this before, we have a rapid fire round in which we get to know you a little bit more personally. Okay. So I'll start with a simple question. Favorite non-Lufthansa airline?
So many of us. Probably I like Singapore Airlines, because I lived 5 years there, so I use them quite
Yes.
often. I love them.
Okay. Very nice. Safe choice. Favorite airport?
Love Changi.
Okay. Nice pair
But
there.
I also like Munich. I'm very much, because I'm from
is good.
Munich.
Yeah, especially
So,
around Oktoberfest. I love the vibe
yeah.
at Munich Airport there. Favorite book?
Now you hit me. I wouldn't know.
Okay.
That,
we
because
can
I
skip
always
that.
start books. Yeah.
And let's do something simpler. Favorite movie?
And no, I have a choice.
You have
This
a
is
book.
my favorite. I don't know whether I can see it. I'm more
Yes.
into magazines.
Ideas. Okay.
So that's
What's
what I
Ideas about?
love. It's about interior design. It's about escape. It's about traveling. It's avant-garde. It's trends. It's art. So I love this one. Yeah, not
Nice.
so. This is you see, it's on my table.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Magazines. I think it's the first time this has been mentioned, but great to know. Your favorite movie?
Oh. Well, I would say I just saw, the last thing I saw was The Devil Wears Prada #2. I wouldn't say that's my most favorite one, but what
the
I
most
like,
recent one.
yeah, the most recent one, and what I liked, I mean, the first one was of course much better, but I think it's interesting if you like New York, and I like New York, and if you see the places and the atmosphere and everything, and I like everything which is sort of curated. I'm quite an arty person. So my job doesn't look very arty, but so I need the arty stuff.
Okay. What do you do in your free time, Claudia?
All sorts of sports. I mean, I like
Which
to
sport are
run.
you into?
Running. I love running. I go to the gym, but I do classes. I like Pilates and I like yoga, but I like also high intensity training, like
Oh,
or half
hit.
an hour core. And I like
Okay.
golf. I always
Okay.
say I'm
Wow.
not playing golf. I'm still training. I trained for years.
Aren't we all training? Aren't we all on the training journey? What is something you'd like to learn?
Actually, you can't see it. It's behind me. I take piano lessons.
Okay. Very good.
And I started only 4 years ago, and I'm not very regular. I always wanted to play the piano since I'm 4 years old, and I bought a piano. It just sits behind me.
It's never too late. I love the spirit. It's never too late. I love it. And
And
finally, what is
languages,
the
many more languages. Italian the next.
All right. Can you speak Singlish?
Yes.
Okay, like that.
I tell you something, and you tell me whether you understand.
Yes.
Boss Migolula. That's my assistant. She said to me all, and I didn't understand
Yes.
it.
I'm going to the
Boss.
toilet.
Yeah, you're the first one who got it.
I grew up in Singapore. It helps. I'm going to use the toilet. my favorite
Migolula.
phrase. My favorite phrase though is can also can, cannot also can.
Yeah.
When you ask someone, hey, can I do this? Yeah, can also can, cannot also can. Oh, what do you mean? That means both options are open. Yeah, exactly. No, it's fun. Yeah, absolutely. And I miss being there, especially in this London weather right now. And finally, what is the best advice you received?
Do slow when you need to speed. You know, when you're in a hurry or when a lot of things, you know, you just take a step back, look at it and take the pace out of it and go slow. So, yeah. Not to get too overexcited, just to, you know, yeah. Difficult to put in English.
I love it. This is such a great end because one of my favorite quotes is by Lao Tzu, from the founder of Taoism. And he says that nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished.
See? Yeah.
So,
And the other thing I love is if you fight, you can lose. If you do not fight for something, you have lost already. That's another one I love.
Ah, nice. Okay. Very nice. Thank you. On that note, I think we shall wrap up this interview. Thank you so much, Claudia. It was really nice to finally have you. I think Lufthansa is the last major airline to come on this podcast that had not yet been. So I'm delighted that we have now got all the big European airline groups talking about sustainability and why it's important, and love the progress you're making. Thank you so much, Claudia.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sustainability in the Air. Aviation is one of the hardest to decarbonize industries, yet there are multiple paths to get to net zero. Awareness is key to a green future. So please give us your support to help our sustainable aviation insights reach a wider audience. You can do this by sharing this episode on your network, on LinkedIn, Twitter, or even WhatsApp. Or perhaps you might consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to this episode. You can start a conversation with us by writing to us at podcast@simpliflying, that's simply with an i.com. And for more content on sustainable aviation, please visit our website green.simplifying.com and join the movement. Sustainability in the Air is an original podcast by Simplifying. The show is produced by Juraj Toth in Slovakia. Dirk Singer is our Director of Sustainability, who leads research for each interviewee out of Greenwich, UK. Shubhadeep Pal is our Supervising Editor based out of Mumbai and Singapore. The articles are written by Ayushi Badola in Dehradun in India and Meera Hull in Montreal, Quebec. Creative design is led by Ligia Esteve in Montreal. Baiba Drimen is the project director for the show based out of Valencia, Spain. Special thanks to Wendy Sim in Singapore. And I'm Shashank Nigam, the CEO of Simplifying and your host. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.